The interconnectedness of nature is undeniable. The reliance of fauna and flora on each other and one another breaches the individual ecosystems of the planet to create an entire biosphere that is Earth. While humans have the tendency to think of themselves as distinct from nature, our actions, whether intentional or not, have direct impacts on the habitats we live in, with consequences constantly circling back to feed into the natural rhythm of life on this planet. Whether it be the forests near us on land or the meadows underneath the water, habitat loss has become a critical issue facing the natural landscape on this planet. In this video series, we've thus far focused on the seagrass species Posidonia australis and its endangered title in one of the world's major cities, Sydney. How can individuals come together to solve these large-scale issues faced by the entire world? Let's first hear some words of advice from Professor of Marine Ecology at the University of New South Wales, Dr. Adriana Vergés.
So my lab focuses on two big things: climate change impacts and restoration of coastal ecosystems. So it's quite nice because with the climate change studies, unfortunately, we are seeing a lot of change and a lot of declines. But with the restoration, we're actually developing solutions to bring back ecosystems that were here but that have gone missing. It is a challenge to get people to care about seagrasses, and I think it's partly because they don't really know what it does. So obviously people that own boats and that use the harbour do it because they love the marine environment. So they are kind of interested in it, but they may not realize just how important seagrasses are, what role they play in the ecosystem. So it really goes to show how things in the marine environment can be out of sight, out of mind so much of the time, right? Like if a forest on land had gone missing, everybody would have known about it, and they would have been up in arms, there would have been marches and demonstrations and local communities that would have tried to fix this. But because it was underwater, nobody knew about it.
You don't need to be a professor at one of the top universities in Australia to become involved in world-changing projects, as we saw with citizen scientist Julie Keating, and how she is single-handedly helping the restoration process of Posidonia australis in Sydney Harbour.
I guess also what I'm wondering is, do you have opinions on how other people should get involved, or how to convince people to kind of care and get involved on projects such as these? Because you've been such a critical part of even doing this project in the first place. How do we get others to want to do that?
I'm usually doing it via social media, so I'm sharing the experience with them, trying to get them involved and just letting them know that they can contact me at any time. We'll go for a lovely beach walk and show them what it is we're looking for.
Have you really noticed anything in particular that has surprised you in the process of doing this?
How eager people are to get involved, and sort of the amount of information that's out there when you sort of think, I'm involved in this project, let's try and learn a bit more, and you go online and there's so many sources. So it's a really great exercise to just sort of keep your brain stimulated as well.
Do you have any just general advice for people, really easy things they can do to either, one, if they're interested in learning about it, or two, really easy things they can do to actually help the situation in general?
I mean, I think spending time, if I talk about coastal conservation in general, I think spending time in nature and spending time on the water is incredibly valuable, because you can't really care or love something that you don't even know exists, right? So I think spending time in nature is good for your soul. It's actually good for the planet, because it connects you with the ecosystems that we're trying to save. I think sharing what you learn can be incredibly powerful. I think there's a whole bunch of, personal actions that you can take, like how you vote is incredibly important, and not just in the big national elections, but in your local elections. Taking a little bit of time to work out, okay, what are the environmental policies of all these people, and joining volunteer groups can be incredibly effective. Every single successful conservation story that I've ever heard about comes from individual citizens that cared about something so deeply that they made a difference, and it really does work.
As for how you can help and get involved, let's meet some more scientists at the Sydney Institute of Marine Science who are experts in marine restoration and hear a word of their advice.
So my name's Tia.
My name's Kyle.
My name's Andrew Irvine.
My name's Meg.
Hi, my name's Rose.
Why do you care / what motivated you in the first place to do marine restoration?
I just love being out in the ocean. When I was a kid, I watched Shark Week. I was like, that seems like a cool job.
I'm really amazed how biology has evolved from being basically understanding abundance and distribution of animals and habitats through to a situation now where we're, applying restoration techniques to the environment to try and improve it.
Well, I've always loved the ocean ever since I was a young child, and I really love to remain curious.
I think it's really important to bring these environments back to life because we have done, as humans, a lot of destruction.
I've grown up by the ocean all my life.
What can people do pretty easily within their lives?
To make a strong impact, you've got to go with what you're really curious about and interested in.
So certainly volunteering.
But I think even just being informed about what kind of projects are out there.
Make sure you clean up after yourself. Don't let what's it called? Plastic. Plastic off into the ocean. Clean up after yourself. If you see something, pick it up.
As a part of doing this science, we need to think about the communities involved in the communities we are affecting. Part of this stems into the communication and education that is necessary for science, especially the science of conservation. As the connection to nature is inherently human, this connection is part of the identity, traditions, and cultures of Aboriginal people. It's also part of their physical, spiritual, and emotional well-being. Seagrass is important to coastal Aboriginal communities, being used to make clothing and woven into baskets for medicinal purposes and in cultural ceremonies. Posidonia is sacred to the Jiranjan people. They know that animals rely on it for food and shelter, and they know without healthy seagrass meadows, these animals will disappear. Modern seagrass restoration projects such as Operation Posidonia and Seeds for Snapper have partnered with the Gamay Rangers and the Malgama Ranger programs to foster not only collaborative restoration of ecosystems, but to rebuild a connection to the nature of originally Aboriginal lands that hold cultural significance. The world as a whole can learn from this case study of the restoration of Posidonia Australis in Sydney Harbour. The never-ending cycle of reciprocation between human and plant and animal and nature, despite the damage we as people have done to this planet, is undeniable. As we understand how our actions as a whole species have consequences, we must learn and adapt to change the way we think of ourselves as distinct from the rest of the biosphere. With this tie to the world and each other, we can make the changes necessary to save the world.